Artbeat. This is a show where we get to talk about everything art, theater, music, comedy, literature, and, well, dance, because it's also art. And I'm joined by the four musketeers. But for now, we'll throw it back to the host because I simply hijacked the whole thing.
It's not every day that you give someone power and they choose to give it back very fast. Because in real life, such is not a daily meal. But thank you so much, Andrew, for that. Good evening, viewers. Yet another edition. We're back here. It's a Thursday, and we are here to digest art and part of the issues that have happened in the entertainment industry, at least this week. But before that, the main topical discussion today is around events. There was a time in Kampala where we only had one or two venues that one to be considered a big artist had to actually hold a concert. Actually, those particular venues were very small that today, if you look at those spaces, even an upcoming artist can do something in the particular venues. Very many years later, the big question is, do our artists still earn as much like they did back in the day from these particular music events? Very many discussions around that, but before we get into that, guys, I want you to say hello to the viewers, starting from my far left.
Hello, our viewers. We are happy to be back here.
Yep.
Hello, viewer. My name is Nathan Atlok, and I'm glad that you tuned in for this exciting day with us.
Hello, Isaac Sediumbo is my name. Let's start this.
Right. So guys, before we dive into the topical discussion around events and the monetary returns surrounding them, briefly, Mudachi continue a few of the things that happened the past week. Twabadde outstanding events?
Yeah, we had the launch of comedy Marabusto.
Yeah.
That's in Tinda, Donny Lounge and Bristol.
Where is that located?
That's just
opposite
Capital
Shoppers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the road.
Yeah,
This, the initiative
Stretcher.
was started by Timothy Nyanzi
Yes.
with a couple of other comedians.
Comedians,
It's going to be a weekly event. It's going to be happening for 3 days.
It's actually not really an event but you see, Uganda didn't have a comedy club before. And what a comedy club does, it's a place where people go for comedy. What we have at the moment is we have places that also do comedy. So this is a place that always does comedy. You will go there on Tuesday and they have comedy.
Wednesday.
You go on Wednesday and they have comedy.
Oh.
And you still go on Friday and they have comedy.
Like theater where any particular day of the week can have a theatrical performance, right?
To tap on what Andrew is saying, these guys, their comedy, it's on Mondays. They are not on that occasion, on that venue. They start on Tuesday,
Okay.
and today they have mic check. That's Daniel
Thursday.
O'Mara. Yeah, today is Thursday. Salvador, Cotilda, Napoleon, and
Akite?
then
So basically,
yes.
they have different themes on different days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then tomorrow it's like their recap of their main.
Is the venue also new or Lech for Chibadeo?
Now the place has been there. It's not, I think it was started after COVID. It has been there because it's my third time being there.
Okay.
Oh.
How was the last edition? That was the very first edition.
Yeah, that's the first edition.
How was
because
it in terms of attendance and delivery?
It was good. Superb.
Okay.
For some of us, I want to ask you, Nathan, because for you were there when they were when they were launching. For some of us who attended the Crackers back in the day at Effendi's, are we going to see more of the same? Are they reinventing? How is it? How different is it?
All its comedy story defined.
To what I can say, yeah, it's kind of different.
Because it's the same team.
Yeah, it's the
more or
same
less.
team. It's the same team. But this time around is quite different because they have brought in young talent from different parts of the country. You will have a person from Mbarara, you have people travel away from Arua to come for that thing.
Okay.
sure.
My question was around the event. I know the attendance and the delivery. From,
Yeah,
from
the
acts.
attendance was good. Yeah, despite the place was small, because by 7, that's when they started, and I could tell you by 8 people still coming in. I was with Andrew. We sat behind at the back, but people would still come in. The chairs were all full, and they could even bring in more chairs outside for people to come.
So is it paid for?
Yeah, it's paid for. Specifically on Thursday and Fridays, it's paid for, and then Tuesday it's free.
It's free.
I'm interested in the material.
Content-wise.
Yeah, because I know Timothy for always trying out. He even had a show specifically for new material. I don't know if he still has that
It's
show.
still there. Yes.
The Monday show.
Where he tries out new material.
Yeah.
And him, Andrew has intimated about, I think it was Andrew who intimated about him being behind the whole thing. And I don't know if he's directing content. I know that he also writes. So I think if I'm to attend and I know I will attend one of those shows, I would be interested in the content. How different is the content?
Yeah.
Because
different days offer different things.
Yeah.
Different comedians.
yeah, and I think that's quite intriguing, which is why I would
I
want to
think
be
the
part of it.
advantage is they are running it as a comedy club, and the comedy club usually brings in a lot of people in terms of comedians, because you see the difference when someone says a comedy club, this is a place where people specifically come to laugh, unlike ordinary days where you say you would go to a Fendi's, say on another day, and there is a DJ playing. With a comedy club, is everyone that comes to the place
Has come for
knows
comedy.
they are coming for comedy. They might not know which acts they are coming for, but they are coming for comedy. Now, with the backdrop that he has the new night material, and where the new night material, most of the comedians that end up there are usually very new, people we've never seen. I feel like they will have that continuous.
I think it's the only way to go in terms of sustainability.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I believe also.
What's I know we are pressed for time, but what's the target? What's their target audience? Because should we expect a mariachi on that stage?
No, it's strictly English.
No.
So it is Centenary Park rebranding 10 years later.
In fact, even when you talk to Nyanzi, he tells you when they're trying to build a culture for comedy. You know, when Simeon came to Uganda, what's his name? Simeon who? The Canadian-based Ugandan comedian.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when Simeon came to Uganda, he had to do his show at Shishanyama. And because he couldn't really find a comedy club in Uganda. And yet when you look at Dave Chappelle, when he performed in Kenya, he actually contacted the Kenyan comedy club to perform there because he appreciates what they are doing. So
finally comedy has found home.
Yeah, it has a home.
Okay.
We hope so.
Yeah, we hope for the best. Yeah, so the other thing I really want us to dive into before we go to the main topic, there is a trend, guys. I think it started a year or so back of, well, you guys are journalists, you know what press releases are. So people who are in relationships, everything is going on well, and they are painting the entire digital spaces red. Out of the blue, they call it off, and they issue a press release written like it's an agency kind of thing, like a relationship had hired an agency to do their PR. Actually, there is one I saw that had, for more information, contact. So ideally, I think it was Sheila being Sheila Gashumba, brought that. I think she was ending a relationship with Rickman, and all of them have keywords like, we ask the public to offer us privacy as we try to cope up with this. Yeah, it was mutually agreed upon to. So another of those press releases, well designed, surfaced earlier this week. Yeah. From
Nikki Berry.
Yeah, the lady is called Nikki Berry. Now, Nikki Berry is a baby mama to Benny Ganta. They share a son. And they called it quits, and she posted. It started, as I looked at the comments in there, people were saying they started smelling something of a sort when she deleted all the pictures with Benny Gant on her social media.
That's how they start.
Yeah.
And unfollowing each other.
Yeah, they unfollowed each other and all those things. So she finally, I think it was Monday, put it out, and she was asking people, don't tag me in the photos with the Gantok guy, Gantok kind of content, Bini Ganta.
And she even requested his fans not to
tag.
Yeah, so guys, I want to know from you, where did this in the very first? How did this come into the social spaces? Because there are very many things that have kept happening in the social scene, guys, and you're like, when did we reach here?
Let me tell you, Patrick, that trend, I think for me, it speaks a lot of the kind of relationships those are.
Yeah.
If I can put it like that. Because if you get the feeling that you need to formally inform the public that you are calling it quits, then that to me says that relationship, as fans of you, as musicians or whatever it may be, we had a stake in it, which in the first place is a mistake. If you get the feeling that you need to account to us and tell us, okay, this is what happened, and we don't need you to, you understand that kind of thing.
Someone said that it is out of courtesy that a person chooses to issue a press release like that, because they have been feeding you with all their sweet moments.
But we did not.
But we don't ask for that. If for Bini Ganta, we ask for music. For Nikki Berry, we asked for nothing.
No. Actually, let me say this.
Who is Nikki Berry?
That's the thing. I don't know who Nikki Berry is.
She's a mother to the son, to Bini Ganta's son.
No, besides that.
Outside that,
she deals in healthy products.
If you put Bini Ganta out of the picture, who is
Nikki Berry?
I
think what Andrew is trying to ask is,
who
is Nikki Berry in the eyes of the public, of the fans?
Besides being
Nikki Berry's Bini Ganta's baby mama.
She's a normal entrepreneur.
Exactly. So why would she feel?
The idea is, the few people who have been in these kinds of public relationships, when they break up, delete their photos off their platforms and all that, and they never inform the public, and it's the public to start speculating. There are so much heat by this. So a person feels like, if I put out this statement, I'm protecting myself.
If there is one person who has had a lot of allegations against her in this country, I think it could be Juliana.
Yeah,
and that woman will never say anything, and we move on. Time comes and you just move on. She will not respond.
But as Juliana also had a relationship that away from the one with Michael Uma, is there any other relationship?
No, not Michael.
Sorry. Away from Kasim Uma, the boxer. Has she ever put any of her other relationships public?
Someone allegedly posted her knickers.
She never said a word.
She did not say a word.
Probably.
In all this,
probably she issued the press release at the time, but it was not a trend.
When she made a statement on an allegation against her was when there's a video.
I think it was with Bobby Wine.
No. Recently, I think last year there is a video that leaked. It was
the one of
an explicit video, yes, where they alleged that it was Juliana in the video. She went to her ex page and said something. But true to what Kagwa has said, she Juliana and a bit of other celebrities, as we know them, don't really
address.
Yeah, they take things maturely. One person I would like to give credit is Empress. She was in a relationship with Natty Nathan for a very long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when they broke up, she never announced. She announced a year later, and that is after people tagged her, sent her pictures and videos of Natty Nathan with other girls.
Okay.
So she came out to clear the air.
Like
that,
guys,
guys,
let's him enjoy his life.
I moved on. We are no longer together.
You see, when breakups like those happen, there are always two things that happen. One of the sides is seen to be enjoying life. When it happened between Sheila and Rickman seemed to have moved on already, was already fronting a certain babe.
And was beating people in the ring.
But even before that, there's a time, I don't know, Isaac, if you remember, there's a time when Nina Rose was with
Bini Ganta.
And the two also separated. But both of them acted mature. They didn't.
But you see, also their relationship was more in rumor. It was not one that was fully confirmed.
But what do you call confirmed?
They
Was
confirmed where you come out, the way Sheila Gashumba and Rickman were.
Is that the new
But
confirmation?
but when you think about it, did Sheila Gashumba and Rickman actually issue a press release of we've broken up as a couple? Or we
Yes,
stopped
as
working
lovers.
together as
No, it was
manager?
love. It was love. It was actually love.
Guys, I would understand if a couple is actually legally married
Yeah.
and they want
Guys, what do you call what Etani and Joshua Baraka are in?
Those are just
They are cohabiting.
But they love themselves, right?
No,
They have confirmed it to us.
what
Baraka
what do you call
posts
confirming?
Etania as a girlfriend, and
I think you're
Etania posts.
stretching confirming.
Confirming,
Yeah.
yes. Because what do you
this
call
is
confirming?
because anytime someone else will come and take
how sure are you that Etania is not seeing someone
Yeah,
else,
yes.
or Joshua Baraka is not seeing someone else?
Because the only confirmation that would ascertain that would be what we know as legal marriage. You understand?
Guys.
But if they come out on social media,
Okay, my issue is Etania and Baraka, for example, have come out on social media to show like they are together. Benny Gant and Nina Rose.
this is what they just
never-
did to show like that is a problem.
Either way, regardless of what they show, they do not. We do not have an obligation to know
Yeah.
if
They
they've
don't
broken up or not.
owe us any.
They don't owe us
Actually,
any.
someone threw them
And-
in and was like, is willing to help them write their press release so that it stays somewhere, because anyway, it is coming soon. I don't know.
For Sheila, I think for her,
Which ones?
Etani and Baraka. That it's coming, it's in waiting. Well, guys, away from that, just to dive into the main topical discussion today, events. Yeah? Events, and the part of it that we want to look at is the monetary returns. There have been conversations around events. Artists, some of them, do or organize these events not for the monetary returns, as the public might expect. It is also believed that when you put up a concert and it is successful, as an artist, it gets you from one level to another.
Yeah.
But ideally, we should not rule out the fact that you also make this concert to make some money. Latest is few artists actually make money from these concerts.
My submission about that whole topic is it's two-way. An
We'll
artist
kick
can
off with you, Isaac.
organize a concert by themselves,
Mm.
or a promoter can buy out an artist on a concert.
Yes.
Like an organizer can come, pay the artist a certain amount of money,
Like KT events.
comes, gives Wininwaji, also Ang's Avenue, the amount of money, then he organizes for himself. There, the artist has benefited because he has been fully paid.
Yes.
All he has to do, all she has to do is come on the stage, sing, and that is
Go
it.
home.
Then it is completely another twist of things if David Lutalo organizes his own concert.
He's his own promoter.
Yes.
I think when an artist organizes their own concert, it's one way. They do not make money. I do not really know how promoters make money, because if you ask me on any day, I would say it's money laundering, because it's so hard to see how a concert can make money in Uganda. By the way, there were times when they used to make money.
What happened then that they could make money genuinely, and what's not? What has changed?
The timing and the awareness. In 2006, if I could use 2006 as an example, one, we were not very much aware as the audience. We did not demand anyone to give us a screen with LEDs
Sound.
behind. Like, all you needed was speakers and you had a show. All you need, like, you could just throw a banner there, like a very huge banner, and that's your backdrop, and that was okay. Today, we are very much aware as the audience. We want you to bring Phenon.
Yeah.
And then Phenon is also done giving you a screen. They are giving you an entire stage full of, actually one humongous screen that covers the entire space, which is a lot of money, which is like 60 ma. And like you're spending 60 ma just
even
on
the
stage.
and you're spending it even before the concert happens, because you have to
before the concert happens. So then they used to make money because the audience did not demand a lot. The audience just wanted to see you come and do music. and that was all. And then after that, you would take that concert to Masaka, to
The extra
Mubende.
concerts.
Barara.
And apparently, the Eagles production were the very first ones to notice the power of like those other
Extra
smaller
concerts.
areas, because they used to go deeper than when they went to Masaka. They didn't just go to Masaka town. Like they would go like from Masaka, then they go like to Chitovu, then from Chitovu like
Those other smaller areas.
Yeah, they go to those smaller areas where people do not even need a lot of sound. They just want to say, oh, message as and that's all their satisfaction. Today, the internet and everything has created a very, very aware audience. They want to see what they saw on the BETs in Kampala.
But what the other thing is how some artists make money in these concerts is the VIP tables. I remember Tonix told me, Bebe Cool told him that just concentrate on the tables. Make sure you sell at least 70 tables. If you can,
at a price
of like
million.
3 million. If you can get 70 tables or 60 tables sold, then your show is done.
That's
Isaac,
Serena.
so, Isaac,
Yes, that is
what-
Serena.
Isaac,
No,
what
no,
will
no.
happen? What will happen if ideally is sells out the tables? That's if he doesn't have a promoter, right? But if you have a promoter, I don't think that
No, he was talking to him
No.
as an
a-
artist
yeah.
because
who has done it.
Yes, who has done it.
For me, this is
Tonix was organizing his own concert.
Yes,
Yeah?
yes. This is what I'm looking at. Serena, if you overly squeeze the tables, you'll go to around 65, 70. So let us roughly look at 65 tables at a price of 3 million, which was actually Tonix's red card for the tables. So 65 tables. Remember, you'll have sponsors. You'll have, you know.
So you just
Say-
count 50 tables.
Okay, but even let me just put it to the maximum. 65 tables times the 3 million. That is 195 million. Which Bebe Cool advised him that if you sell out the tables, that's where your real business is. But Tonix organized himself. So let us say he has the 195. Let us look at the other logistics around the
Did
concert.
he sell 65 tables?
No.
No,
We
we are-
are now saying everything was
No,
perfect.
like-
We are assuming all went perfect.
Okay, so-
the 195 is there. Let us look at the other
One,
logistics.
you have to pay Serena.
Which is about
Which
25
is
million.
No,
Serena
no.
now is 10k US dollars.
Yeah.
Of course, people
It's about
negotiate. Let
10K.
us say 25.
yeah, let's
Yeah,
say 25.
25.
the stage.
The stage.
Production.
Who produced for him?
Was it?
Because usually what happens, Steve, if Steve is producing for you, he
Let us
only-
use Steve as the benchmark. Minimum 50.
Steve- okay, minimum.
Yeah,
Then
let's look at the minimum.
security.
Security, Serena security is not.
Yeah.
The
Serena has internal security.
the-
They will just expect you to bring a team that will do the sweep.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a time police did not interfere with Serena events or indoor events.
Yes.
So we are looking at bouncers, okay.
But
Okay,
but
yeah.
as time
But
has
those are
been,
implicit costs.
but as time has been going on, they started noticing that probably that's their money to make too.
Yeah.
So these days, police is as involved in
Yes.
indoor events
Yes.
as they are with outside.
Yes. So I want
events.
us to first look at the major.
So
You know.
what are the major?
Yeah. So we've looked at
investment?
the venue.
We've
We've
looked
closed
at
at 25 million.
stage.
Remember, we are looking at the 195 million
Yes,
of the
yes.
tables.
So stage, light, sound, all sorted. 25.
No,
we
no,
said,
no.
we
Say
said
50.
Okay,
Let us
50.
use Steve. Yeah, 50 plus the 25.
That is 75.
And then you have
That is
other
75.
service providers.
You have
You haven't
Serena.
talked about promotion and
You've
advertising.
not talked to. Okay, let us say one media house in Naguru has offered to give you all those. But
Yeah.
remember, you'll need the Galaxy FM there
But
to push.
again, will that media house do the job that you want?
Well, that's another
So-
question.
so-
Okay, let us put a 30 million.
Yeah. So anyway, besides that, you're doing two productions most of the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're doing a production inside with, okay, not even just Serena. These days, technically, with every venue you get,
Yes.
you do a second production where people just come take pictures.
Yeah, red carpet,
so,
blue carpet.
So you're getting like a second phenon, okay, like
Of-
a smaller one.
Fenon actually offers the same at a fee.
No,
No, it's a different.
it's no, it's,
They bill you once.
yes, they bill you once.
The bigger ones.
Yes.
Oh, so most of the times outside and the
Inside,
stage
yes.
Yes.
is phenon altogether.
Yes.
So it's part of the
Yes,
60
part of
of
the-
Okay,
Yeah,
let
yeah.
us calculate it like
Oh,
that.
okay.
Let us go to the band you're going to use, the stage team,
The backline.
Yeah.
yeah, and all those things.
I do not
Depends
know how
on who's
much the
playing.
backline asks for, but at least I know most of those band members individually usually get
Remember,
paid.
you've been doing rehearsals with
Yes,
them.
yes, usually get paid between 50
To 100.
to 100 for rehearsals.
So let's say you've done 5 rehearsals.
That's how much.
Which is at the very minimum.
Uh,
Let us say
Every
around
rehearsal is
5
quite
million.
okay, 5 million.
Yes,
Yes, 5 million. Which other
That's
costs?
very-
So guys, roughly there, we're already moving into around 80 million. Eh?
Artists.
Remember, you have, okay, let's say you have a big brand like the MTN, which is going to come as a sponsor, and they are going to give you the online kind of their influencer
ticket.
teams. Let us look at the ticket. Remember, also now the ticketing, they have a percentage.
Yes.
What are some of the other things we have to look at?
But do these sponsors give cash? Or
They don't.
They
They
no
no
longer
longer
give
give.
cash.
They no longer give
They
cash.
don't.
That's what Isaac and Kago are saying. That it's quite different back then in the early 2000s, where you could find MTN, for example, buys off the show, and still you'll get the money from them.
Yes.
Unlike now, they will just come maybe for a sponsorship in kind, where they will just push your show using influencers, and maybe they get the
Influencers, they've already paid, like they're on a retainer for a
Yes,
year.
yeah, so it's easy. So look, using the tonics kind of example we're using, ideally, from the 195, because usually artists don't look at the chairs. At
The ordinary.
Yeah, the ordinary, because those are their costs that go in the on the did in there that you have to sort immediately. So out of the 195,
We've so far.
with very many other small things we missed, let us say 100 down.
At times you need to remember that there is a specific team, which is maybe like a decor team or something, service provider,
Tables,
that usually work on those tables.
tables and
So
Even the drinks that go
now
on
the
those tables
tables.
and the
Now
food.
actually now the 3 million is not 3 or because I mean they are decorators, they are drinks, Serena food and all those things.
Yeah.
So let us say around 90 million
And
has
you
gone.
still have a team to
No,
pay.
no.
guys.
It's already
Okay, 100 has gone.
100
So
has gone.
you're remaining with 95 million.
with 95
Eh.
million.
Technical sense.
No. After the 95,
You're not even.
now you start working with
Remember.
with the legislation around.
Understand it. You have dancers.
No, I mean the authorities
already like
around.
130
it,
million.
Remember,
you
exaggerated.
with-
Mukulu. Sente tozigusa
nshonga weddawo abayibi bamanyi olumu okuddayo ne bagamba mwana kati waliwo besaawa
Yes.
No, what I
Remember, there are drives you do. There are bad people who are putting up your banners. There are mentions, media people.
what Patrick, you're not putting into consideration. We haven't counted the ordinary section.
Yes.
Yeah? Nti naye waliwo kaakakola ki?
Akajja,
Akajja.
15.
Aha. Kayinza okuba katono kale 15 nga bw'okyogedde. Katugambe Serena ya abantu ng'enkumi 4 oba 3.
Nedda, Serena y'abantu 1,000.
Kale 2,000 togala 15 2,000.
Waggulu tebakyatuula.
It is okay. 2,000.
Okay. Tubalire ku maximum. Zibaawo.
Sente zibeerawoko. Naye ekinyusi kiri wali.
Naye we've had successful shows at the Serena.
If the show is successful,
We've had successful shows at the Serena, but promoter ne bavaayo nga bagamba tebakoze sente.
kati promoter omusuubira kwogera ki?
No.
Because he's looking at URA, he's looking at other costs as well. Okitegeera. So kati gwe oyagala aveeyo akugambye nakoze.
No, naye nsobola
ne
okubulira.
Keti naye yavaayo n'agamba community yakola.
Sobola okubulira experience nga yo yali one on one. Omuntu n'onyumya naye nemutula naye nemunyumya. Nagamba ekiriwo. Waliwo concert ya mukwano wange yali awo ku Serena.
osobola tugamba
tekati oyagala amwogere tomumanyi Kenneth Mugabi akubuzeewo
show ya Kenneth
mukwano gafoma wagaba ndetera amazzi nkoleki nalemugayo
show ya Kenneth is selling out I think 2 days before the concert.
Yeah.
Tables those are selling out mangu naye show bagenda okumala okubalansinga bati ebitabo nga size sente z'ogamba nti okoze nnyo nti okikubye compared ku bantu abalimu naye nga unlike abantu abasinga abava ku Serena kye baba nakyo koze abantu abo bava nnyo ku Serena nga bakyalina amabanja nti oli n'avaawo waliwo yali akolawo awards yabeera n'amabanja like 3 years in a row. Naye ne wabaawo awards ze baakoleza ezaakwatayo ennyo n'agenda n'asasula Steve n'amukliyaringa. Kenneth yava ku Serena nga talinaawo bbanja nalya service provider n'ogu ng'abasasudde naye nga ye oyinza okuddawo n'ogamba nga n'omutwalo teguwera ogwaddo nga yasasudde abantu naye nga ogenda okibalamu Serena show okuvaayo nga bwe mwagala ebeere mwabagiraba nti ejjirako ba service providers bangi nti tukola decoration ya Serena okuviirira mu parking lot ne mujja ne mugivuga ne mugireeta mu kalobi awo.
Have you considered how expensive deco is on those concerts?
That's why for me I was bringing the narrative of artists. Some of them choose to organize these concerts to move from one level to another.
Stuff.
Because bwekitunuulira business wise it would rather be a stepping stone into babadde bambukingira 2.5 million. Let me make a concert, let it sell out, let it be big, nejewaawo nzire ku 5 million nkole shows zange zenkuŋŋanyizeeyo instead of
by the way kyoyogerako nti Kenneth bw'amala okuva ku Serena ng'akikubye mu February ey'omwaka ogwaddako yajja n'akuba wano Valentine's show
and
it was more like an acoustic set production ntinitini wansi ng'eri manageable kati ate eyo kwe yakola ssente ze kubajjukira nti bw'ojaano ku theatre oyinza osala half of the matala half of the sound weebiri byawo nti
n'ekifo tebajja kikuseera
oli resident you have a partnership with them togenda kusaamu ntebe empya nti bazipange
kati awo weyakolera ate
kati awo weyakolera
naawe wewaliira ettaano za ddo
So guys, mulaba there's a disparity, a very big disparity between shows at Serena, Sheraton. No, not even Sheraton, because Sheraton is also as if
Serena.
Sheraton is outdoor.
shows at Serena completely different from show ezigenda okubeera Erugogo. For let's say King Saha atadde Erugogo. The dynamics are completely different.
naye ate kukyoyogerako ate kuba kati ate ezeebwera ate ze zisinga okusala.
But okay, one njagalira to pose this question. Is this dynamic of profit making an issue of the entrance fee? Nti Serena eno we batugamba ebadde ku mitwalo 15 maximum eno mu ordinary. Should it rise for someone to break some kind of even akole ku profit? Should we now move to table 6 million and ordinary 250, 300 for someone to... Because you see also ticket pricing in Uganda. There was a time and it took a very long time to move away from 5,000 to 10. Now I saw artists lately they are now making it 30. I think King Saha's show is 30k.
Yeah.
So it will also take some time for them to move ordinary from 30 to 50 in the open space kind of events.
Usually it's about 50,000.
Ekituufu show z'ebweru.
VIP outdoor is when it's 50.
Show z'ebweru eza outdoor.
Yeah, Rugogo.
It's usually 10.
VIP badde ku 50 Rugogo.
Rugogo has been ordinary 10.
No,
Freedom City yebadde nnyo eya 10.
But I think
Erugogo Gravity abadde agikuba ku mutwalo gumu. Ate nga when M10 comes on board, yes.
Winning show VIP
Was
yali
10.
ya 10.
Emitwalo 10.
Then table yali 3
zibeera 3 to 5 3 to 5
wano ordinary yali ya 30
Ordinary yawo.
eya win ku Elugogo.
Yes, that's true.
no but
Promoter n'avaayo n'agamba
that's true.
I've not seen a show as big as when Nwagi's show Erugogo.
naye ng'ekituufu
in
olaba
terms of what?
Numbers.
olaba
Was it
the
bigger than
money
Saha last year?
Yes.
the money we pay for outdoor ogw'omutwalo n'emitwalo 3 ebyala ali sente ntini.
ate the other thing is olaba tolaba abantu kujjula
Kakati.
people might be many at cricket oval naye tomanya babwereere bayingidde bangi bayingirira ku bwereere fellow promoters balina abakazi baabwe n'abayimbi omuyimbi yadde n'abantu 15.
The artist himself will give out free tickets
Okitegeera, yes.
to make the statement.
It is too difficult to gauge whether an artist has made money at cricket oval
Or not.
or not.
Temunaba considering URA.
Neyo nayo weeyize.
Zende
Do you
zenjo
remember the
kusaba.
time of Chadondo?
Rugby grounds.
No, Chadondo, yes. At concert ya radio.
10 years of
10 years.
radio, yes, I was there.
Eyo show ekituufu nange nalabira ddala nga balamuti akola sente.
Tebakola but asigala
Ne kati promoter bwemo if you say takola sente ng'ava ku eyo show balamu yava ku eyo show na
Kati
organize shows.
awo omuyimbi abayimbi bo bakola sente kuba babagula. Balamu ye sente ezo ziteeka
I think promoters leverage on the fact that they have understandings with certain corporate companies. There are companies that have an understanding with a person like Balam KT. If you realize KT will always have MTN.
and the other thing is Kagoya kyeyintinzeeko nti they break even through these extra concerts. Okitegeera amanya nina concert cricket oval then ngenda kuba ebirala nga musanvu Masaka Luweero biki
But lately
production y'ebyo ebifo si eya Serena oba si eya
Ate
cricket
biso
oval.
okuleetera ku sente.
Nti basasula mutwalo
kitono.
yes exactly.
naye nga anyway to understand right outdoor esala nnyo outdoor egirako obukwakulizo bungi. One,
You have to triple the security.
security bakulya apparently bakulyawo baku safety ne security like for me they sound like the
Bangamba
same
ni
things.
outdoor venues is a bay.
Yes, outdoor venues za bay naye police etandika okukulya kuviira ddala ng'okyanoonya permit.
Oh.
Nema
Technically n'oyingizawo nema n'oyingizawo KCCA kusasuza apparently $1,500,000.
Ezo tozijjayo mu bano bokkiriza okujja okusiika omuchomo chips biki
nga
abo.
bameka abasatu.
No, $1,500,000 zetwogerako za buli luguudo olugenda okuleadinga to your
They charge
venue.
that much.
Cause they believe people coming to your venue bayinza okwonoona ebimuli byabwe.
So wagamba security bajja giteekawo wonna.
That's like insurance.
You pay that is non-refundable.
Non-refundable.
ziri eza beyond midnight.
Kano wabaawo neza simanya beyond midnight.
Bw'oyisaamu basigaza. That's why artists babeera keen to.
Midnight ngashegwa.
Bugundi bugenda bwekyayiringa awo.
Naye system ngeri
When I interviewing Emma Carlos yangamba nti ku police yokka you can end up spending 30% of your budget. Nga temunnalowooza na kusasula fenon.
Because they balina okuwa clearance for you to start advertising.
But guys, when before this show I watched a video of Shaka Mayanja narrating how on the first coming of Lucky Dube, they never made a single coin. But we all
This was in the 90s?
early 90s, I think 94 there. But we've all heard of the mammoth crowds that were there for that show. Doesn't that speak to the fact that even if you have a lot of people, these expenses
That
cannot
shows
allow
that
you to
Nambole.
make money?
They cannot allow, but they leave a lasting impression
yeah.
on you as the promoter. Just remember UB40.
Even you before.
Yes,
Actually,
they did
even
not
you
make
before
money.
theirs,
MTN
right?
did
They
not
didn't
make
make
you
money.
see the
The
Yes.
2008 show.
They did not
the
make
difference-
money.
But for
Yes.
over, but for
Because
over, for over 15 years, we've
we still refer
we've referenced
that
that
you
you
are
was
MTN takes the
before.
crowd.
But you see,
but
the
that is a
difference-
corporate company.
the difference
Sige.
between all those shows and the shows we are talking about is...
But wait a minute, Andrew. What do you mean MTN didn't make money on that show?
The
expense
value.
It goes back
Promotion
to
gye bakola.
Yeah.
They did
They
promotion
did
for
a
like
lot of
4 months.
promotion and
Nga
they
kuliko
invested a
n'ennyonyi.
lot of money.
I remember.
So the show was successful. It brought the money, but not as much.
Not
as
the
what
money.
invested.
It was successful.
in terms of numbers.
Visibility.
Yes.
Okitegeera. Buli omu yamanya MTN
In
erese ba
fact-
UB40. Okitegeera.
Yeah,
But for them it was okay.
In fact,
Yes.
after that
But
show,
Kakinga ekya Econ ku Airtel. Okitegeera. Because the expenses that went to
I think even
Econ.
Arcade in 2011.
Okay.
in fact, that share eya UB40 yakozesa bagayi was it Celtel at that time? Yakozesa
Zain,
aba
it was
Celtel.
Zain.
Was it?
It was Zain.
already
2008. It was
Eh,
Zain already.
yakozesa aba Zain a lot of mistakes because UB40 was so successful and Zain wanted to react
To
to
replicate
what
something, yeah.
MTN did.
That's the story.
Ne baleeta Econ, Econ n'agaana okujoola asooka.
So they had to incur more costs.
They had to
on
incur
him.
more costs by sending a person to be there with
And
him.
not even a person, a team.
a team.
Ogende US.
Bamupikinga
But
gye.
Yeah.
When Econ did not make the statement, they ended up bringing Wycliffe Jean
Yes.
It was Wycliffe
still to make a statement,
Awo nabali mulose.
and Wycliffe did not make that statement, and later we ended up with R. Kelly.
Who made the statement?
But guys,
But it was too late
let's
now.
digress a little bit from I mean, what happened to those names that used to come here? I think the last we had was
The American names.
the global stars.
The global, yes, the global stars. I think bafuuka ba bei nnyo nga tetukyabasobola.
Because, and also I think because then it was big corporate companies that used
Yeah.
to fully sponsor these
That's
shows.
it, yes.
And they no longer, because there's a time I was talking to someone in the marketing department of Naiboris. I was asking them 2 questions. One, why they have never considered sponsoring Nyege Nyege, yet it's in their,
Yeah, it's
Their
there.
city.
Yeah.
and then the guy told me it has never made business sense to us. We actually make money selling beer during the time of Nyege Nyege
Outside.
than we would make if we
We are
sponsored
title
this
sponsors.
festival. The same for why they pulled out of concerts. They no longer sponsor so many musical
Okay.
concerts.
Actually, they only work
Yeah.
on their particular events.
They only
in
work
terms
on
of-
Their particular events.
All
even
brands
sports,
have moved
even
to
sports,
sports.
they're just coming back.
But sports have been in rugby. I think when you talk about football, that's where they are now.
They're just coming back. Yes,
But in
but in music,
Yeah.
musical concerts or art, they had stepped,
they
stepped out of that because it wasn't making business
Like,
sense to them. Because the guy said, sorry to cut you, that they would still make the money if they sell that beer.
So they
regardless.
no, it never brought them that value.
Yes.
But you see, for me, that's the actual problem I have with our corporate companies, because corporate companies elsewhere are not in art to actually make
Make money.
business or make money.
Yeah.
They're
One-
there to
They
there-
have
there is-
corporate social responsibility.
that's part of them,
But
but
Andrew, how strong is
visibility-
our economy to go that route?
one
My
To
question
be
as
in
well.
art,
eh,
purely
be-
for
to-
art
to be
reasons.
like one, you're going to make one good financial decision towards art and it will work for you for years. Like, I mean, the same way we are still talking about UB40 and MTN. Just imagine if, I'll give an example in Rwanda, what the Bank of Kigali did by investing $7 million in the Kigali Arena and having it renamed BK Arena because Bank of Kigali BK, and having it renamed for the next 6 years. They invested there 6.
So after 6 years, it will go back to.
It
They
will
will
go back to
the
being
table.
Kigali Arena, or they will go back to the table. But just imagine the mileage BK, the bank, has had over this time because they spent that $7 million once.
Yes.
Just imagine if your MTN or Airtel
But it
just
is the same thing MTN now did in 2008.
just imagine if your MTN just decided like, yeah, let's
Chris Brown.
give a first shift to say the National Theatre,
And it becomes
where
the
where
MTN.
it becomes the MTN National Theatre, but probably once every year we have a show which is ours, but it's
And on top
called,
of that, they bring Chris Brown and they put him on 35 million per ticket.
but it's also like every time someone is talking about the National Theatre, they are saying MTN National Theatre.
It's mileage
Like-
for them.
It's mileage for you, and that's something you do once, that even when it stops being MTN National Theatre,
Still some people
are
say
going to
yes.
call it MTN
Let it-
National Theatre for about 5 more years.
I hear you.
Like, why aren't we thinking like that? Why aren't our companies thinking like, why is it supposed to be about the values I'm supposed to sell?
I think there was a time when these corporate companies could think like that until they were frustrated.
I think it was because of competition. There is no longer competition in our corporate world.
Why? Is
Just-
that because
just-
of the leaderships that are
Just-
there now?
Just imagine, there's a man I always admired at NBL, Shemse Mambo.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Mm.
late.
So just imagine we have like
Also
three
wonder.
same Mambos in different companies. What will be happening? So a certain company does this. The board of the other company is like, but we have to react.
So
What she
Hillary,
talked
are
about.
the Hillary
They
Bagumans
bring
being
R. Kelly. So Airtel Zain, they were like, we have to come big. Anya tukolera.
that kind of
Econ, we have to go all in. Okitegeera. Obutaswala nabo ne bakiyingira. So at the end of the day, it is with the
I think we need
consumers
to answer the
abafuna
question
mu
of what happened to that era.
I
Because
think
there was a
people
big
phase out.
shift.
People. Yes, there was.
Was it a policy was it a culture in this corporate or it was individuals who are driving these narratives that let us push this direction.
I also want to believe
like Shem Semambo, like Isaac
to address that. I want to think that also the times have changed and the economy itself, things are not really well. And for now, most boards of of most of these corporate companies look and they weigh.
But I think
Because internally, when you look at NBL or UBL or MTN, they internally have a certain void that they have to fill in terms of capacity building, technocrats.
They have targets.
They have targets and all these things. Times are changing. Today, when you look at the issues to do with AI, all companies are now trying to see how in their respective industries they can incorporate the element of AI. And because we are in Africa and particularly in Uganda, it is more like a myth. They need to invest into agencies or big companies to come. So they really have priorities. And now most of the times when they look at this side to do that, and they look at the value it might give them, at a big balance, and
I think
so it goes back to the fact that they are not making money.
I think
Exactly.
also, to my perspective, I think these artists also need to. I think the way they're branding themselves is quite different from how say the likes of Juliana Namubiru's, Bebe Cool's used to
Of back in the day.
back then. Because when you see these guys back then, the way they branded themselves and the way they portrayed themselves to the extent to bring on such sponsorship on board for their concert was really different. Right now you could see a musician, the way he conducts in the public, there's no big brand.
Nathan, I disagree.
I also disagree.
They are what MTN had.
They didn't have an option
I don't
anymore.
really think MTN had a lot of options at
because
that time.
we had so many riffraffs. Even
But today they have very many options. What went wrong?
even then.
Today, what went wrong is that there are more than one way to talk to people. Today, there is more than one type of celebrities. Like you have your celebrity who has just made it big on TikTok, and they need way less to influence you than what you give.
I was
The reason
thinking-
why I said that, because when you last year itself, when you see the almost Pachikade people made concerts.
Yes.
Yeah? But I guarantee you from Misaj, Rutaya, they had MTN on board. You get, and all the MTN, I think, were giving them the sponsorship in kind, ticketing and all that. Tell me any other musician besides the big names that you see that MTN can be on board.
But it was still in kind. Like, okay, when you talked about branding, like I thought about it in a different way. When there was that time when some artists had actually branded themselves as people that perform for a certain class of people. Trust me, we had a show where Bebe Cool sponsor wa Motorola. Like, can you even imagine that? Like today, Techno is probably one of the most held phones in Kampala, and you will never find them on.
Actually, in Uganda.
You will never find them attached to any artist, like they are the lead sponsors.
Yes.
And yet, you'll be in Kigali, you'll be in Nairobi, and Nyashinsky has a concert, and Techno are the lead sponsors. You'll find, say, like when Tyler performed in Kigali before she became famous, do you know who sponsored her performance? Spotify. Like, there are these sponsors that can still dish out a lot of money because because I understand our sponsors in Uganda at the moment are product sellers, and maybe they no longer have that wide basket to pick from. But what happened to those other sponsors? What happened to the Motorola's?
Yes. To answer that, I was speaking to someone, one of the big guys at Stanbic Bank, around the same issue. And he told me that today they also have very many options of, can I call them public figures, who can directly speak to their kind of target audience. In the creative kind of sector, I'll give you an example. The lady, I think you wrote about her actually, Mona Lisa of Mona Faces. She's into makeup and all that. Her recent event, that were title sponsors, John Walker. John Walker came on board. Because when you look at what Mona Faces does, the kind of clientele she has, the way she's branding herself, she speaks directly to that audience. And it makes business sense for them to come to that.
Same thing Elijah Chitaka and this Chuo guy. They've just been made influencers for Guinness Smooth.
Yes.
You understand? So they are particular with people they want to deal with.
Yeah, so the gentleman from Stanbic Bank tells me they have a product, they are a payment product that Stanbic Bank is...
That's a FlexPay.
FlexPay. So he was telling me, Patrick, if I look at the artists who can do that for me, speak to the audience I'm targeting. And then he gave an example of the lady in fashion. I believe she was previously at Crown Beverages, Tracy Kakuru, Kwanzi, who is now into bridal and what. Just sampled out. Was like, I've been doing a survey on this particular lady. I've realized the kind of spaces she's in, the kind of clientele she has, and the people we are targeting with platforms like those. I've realized what she does, the engagements she's in, and she actually also gave Flavia to Musimi. She was like, now, an artist who will come with their kind of big brand mentality.
The unprofessionalism
yes, we would rather get the Tracy Kakuru with who she is and the teams and spaces and people she speaks to, and invest our money in a person like that than any artist. So today these guys also have options, you know, and these options are proving to be far better in terms of pushing their agendas.
So if an artist is to actually benefit or tap into the resources that these corporate companies have, they need to sort of
management.
Yes,
they need to be
management has to channel them in such a way that this a certain corporate company will be interested in working with that artist. But how does Maurice Kia do it? Because I think his methodology of having a successful concert is different. I saw him, and I've never seen this with any Ugandan artist, calling for bids for people who want to, for beverage companies who want to be part of.
Yes.
Normally you would think that the artist would be the one approaching the beverage companies to come. For Maurice Kia, it's the other way around.
I think with Maurice Kia, he wants to always...
because he has a shop, Kia Live.
I think Maurice has a thing just with him ayagala nnyo to okola statement tutandika ekintu okuba nti aleese trend
he
namulabako
wants to show artists
that things are possible.
that these things are possible.
Yes, I remember Morris
Supposed to be good.
once organized the mini concert here at the National Theatre.
Yes.
It was strictly 1 hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And he charged it, I think it was
100,
around 200.
it was 100k.
No. It was more than that. It
It
was
was
100.
no, it was 100.
It was
150.
150.
150.
And then like every hour was like 50,000. One thing I remember with him, actually I talked to him because he contacted me because I do a few works with the National Theatre, and his idea was, I am not interested. You see, the theatre is small. It sits 300 people. His interest was not in having the theatre full. He believed he had a particular audience that would consume him on a Saturday evening, and his interest was to perform for a certain few. But one thing I remember with him, he said I would start at exactly 5. And trust me,
he
by
started at
5,
yeah.
people were still very few, but he started.
Yeah.
And he ended at exactly that same. So for me, that kind of touch is something I had.
That show was held immediately, shortly after he had that.
The one he had at
after he had
Serena.
it.
So
Yeah.
his thinking was that there is music that he had not performed at Serena,
Yeah.
That
and he
would-
wanted to have an intimate
extension.
kind
Yeah.
of arrangement with his fans to perform that kind of
Yes.
music.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is also
and
something
I've
that-
seen he announced his concerts.
How many artists can do that?
exactly
Very
that's
few.
true. Yeah.
Very
Because-
few. One, you must have an audience that you must be sure of your audience. Most of our artists today
are not sure.
of
Now,
their
now
Yes,
that's the problem. And going back to one of our topic of artists not being able to make money,
Money from-
like most of them do not have an audience which is
A loyal
theirs.
audience,
Yeah,
yes.
a loyal
Katosobola
audience.
bayita.
That audience that will come to you not because you have a hit, but because they love your music. Most of them do not have that. And I think at the moment, I've only noticed Morris and Kenneth,
Morris, Kenneth Mugabe,
Who
and of
seem
course
to have
Juliana from the
that
old-
audience that even when they released the song last week, you find people singing it in the audience and you're like, when did you learn this song?
Yes.
He has that very much, that regardless of when he organizes a concert, there are people that will show up and
So Morris announced his career live
Yeah.
1025, and he said he's putting it in.
Lubowa.
Tele Road.
It's at
I think it's a very new venue. It's more of a
it's,
theatre.
I saw the theater.
it's at International School of Uganda. It's
Their
in-
auditorium.
Where is it? Where is the international
Lubowa,
school?
Okay, it's right before
As you
Roofings.
head,
You know
yeah,
where
yeah,
Roofings
as you
is?
head to
Yeah.
Seguko.
Yes, so right before Roofings, there's a road that goes off.
That's Lubowa.
You go up there about 200 meters from
Yes.
there.
It's along
So,
the Tele Road.
I want to
Mana
impose- I want to impose a question.
No, but I have been to that. Sorry to cut you, Nathan. I've been to that school.
But
I've
and
also been there. I've
and
seen
I've
that
been, I have
auditorium.
seen that auditorium.
I know it's a beautiful
No, it-
auditorium.
Very.
Away from the beauty of the place,
Luwachi.
nze obuzibu wange si
Why?
beauty ya
But do
place.
you realize how unbothered he is that people will,
I know.
will or not?
With all the venues that we have in central Kampala,
Central business.
so he decides I'm going to have my concert in Lubowa.
But the kind of artist that Maurice Kiria is, if you look at that, he has been at Serena how many times?
True.
I think he was at Serena before most of
So,
the people.
Yes.
His thinking behind that was that I have
I've
done
done
Serena
it.
in Kampala.
byonna bye mwogera
Where else
bituufu.
do you want
Naye
to
era
go?
Luwachi.
And also what Patrick said, I think he wants to try out to bring in new things that no one else has done.
Yes.
Yeah. And I know he will open that venue up to other people. Like
Yeah.
the moment he does it,
Tewali ajagenda ekyo kigebulize.
No.
Era bw'anaabaawo ate nga nakyo sikiraba tajja sukka Kenneth Mugabe, the lady who had the Valentine show, Nava
Nava
Gray,
Gray.
Sandra Subi, ate nga bonna sibalaba genda.
mpulira ekintu kimu bonna bw'oyogedde
Tewali
teyajja genda Lubowa.
Well, we were talking about how artists are not making money, but now
Morris awo anaazikola.
how can they get money? Let me say, if a promoter has taken over the concert, or if you're only person who has sponsored your own show without a promoter.
The-
Like for instance, A-Pass He organized the show One Man Army.
No.
Hmm?
No.
Did he have a promoter?
Yes.
Who was the promoter?
A silent promoter was it. EPAS did not organize his show.
Okay.
Because-
Did EPAS make money? Did the silent promoter make money?
Yes.
No,
they-
I doubt.
EPAS
I
didn't have a
doubt.
promoter.
Okay, one
That's
thing
why-
I remember is that EPAS's tickets were hard paper.
Yes.
So I think
It
he
was
had to remember-
200,000.
No.
150.
150, but what I mean by hard paper, like there are people that have concerts, and trust me, you can just walk around the street and you find a free ticket. and, then there are
They were
those,
quite expensive.
like EPAS's tickets were hard to find, like
And they were limited.
they were very, very
Why
limited.
did you say EPAS didn't make money? Or the promoter?
Because of the production at that concert, man. I think EPAS.
But you think Steve charged him the same red card?
No.
The
he
red
did.
card for that.
Of course, Steve is a bit
He
lenient.
imported
For,
a sound engineer.
you
Who is a
understand?
friend?
Yes,
So you might have
Still,
He's a friend,
Still,
but
that
again,
guy
you
was
find
here.
another ticket.
He attended almost every rehearsal. He didn't come like today. The concert was this.
But
was
ideally,
tomorrow. But the costs he
was
incurred in
EPAS's
production-
interest to make money?
No, EPAS's interest was to make a statement.
Exactly.
Which
Yes,
is-
not the money, but to make
But-
that
To-
statement that we are going to talk about his concert
I think,
the whole of
when-
this year.
Yes, we can say that he didn't make money. My point is, which other way can these people make money? Let's talk about the streaming platforms.
They won't offer
'Cause
much.
They can.
They can, because you see, that time of EPAS, after the show, the following day, he went on his page and said, everyone who posted my content, I'm going to strike you. And that's why you would see online, there are very few people who had done what? Uploaded.
He allowed people to post under a minute.
Yes.
Or
But
a
not the
minute.
Which
entire
does
show.
not make sense for a normal YouTuber.
Yeah.
Or
Because why would you make money from my...
I think
but-
EPAS made this show to make a statement and then to hike his
rate.
rate.
But
Because believe me,
okay.
Believe me, if EPAS was charging, let's say, 2 million, he's now charging like 3 or 4 million
Okay.
after that concert.
But
Yeah.
you talked of streaming as
Yes.
the other. Does
Yes.
streaming can it offer what a profitable concert would?
Yes, I have it on good knowledge that
I take a certain good knowledge.
that one
Show us an example that has worked. Because for me, I would think.
No, that's what I'm going to tell you. One, it hasn't worked for any artist, but it has actually worked for some people. Our artists and their promoters are yet to understand how streaming works. But then there is a TV at Naguru, which
that's the
says
whole show.
they are giving you sponsorship,
And you
then
get excited.
and you get excited. So they are like, we are giving you media.
Which TV is that? WBS?
No.
Yes, idea.
So they give you
And they spend
sponsorship,
the entire
and then
show.
they tell you, they ask for exclusivity. Part of the exclusivity is them streaming your show on their platform.
Live.
From which
Now-
they make.
Every person that watches that show on their platform, most of the people who are in the diaspora pays some money, and this could be about 5K. It's pay-per-view. I have it on good authority that during Wizzo's concert, at Africana, they reached at least 10,000 viewers.
The same happened at Reggie's
The
concert.
same happened even with King Saha's concert.
Actually, the same happened with Ragadi's concert, but the idea was Ragadi had moved into a negotiation around the percentage of the streaming.
So
And it was some good money.
So he wasn't excited about the initial deal
Yeah.
that we are going
Because
to.
he knew about it, about how much is made of that. So when they went into the negotiation, it was like, it's okay. yes, you'll have a bigger percentage, but let me have a cut of that.
So if you're to look at, say, if everyone paid 5,000 to watch times 10,000, considering the fact that you know how much money is lost. Okay.
Meaning there is potential there.
There is potential.
Because for me, my idea of back in the day, I remember back in the day when an artist would stage a concert, they would make money, and the next thing you know, yaguze ettaka, aguze akamotoka akapya, akyusiza wabadde asula agenze you get nti ofunye idea nga butunulamu obala obukadde 10 bugudde wali. That's how the chameleons are bought in Seguku when bagula emotoka, you know.
It's because at that time club would call you and they will give you 20
because abasajja bamayinje bamalanga concert nowulira nti hotel yajigize nagula ennyumba ideally nga sente oziwulira nti
like I said earlier, what happened is people became more informed. Even the people that used to be sponsors became more informed about the power of the industry. So they started forming entertainment departments within their companies, and before you knew, the people that didn't have silk or Phenon retainer started having Phenon retainer. So when you came and you were looking for sponsorship, you were like, Phenon, just do the work on the other retainer.
Okay.
So they are like, yeah, we've sponsored you.
But guys, for back to the issue of artists making money from concerts, is an artist safe of working with a promoter or promoting themselves, organizing themselves? Because I think ideally I would think if you have a promoter, as an artist you're already safe. But yes, but you out, you have your money.
But in my view,
to make out the money,
you're safe having someone promoting your show, because this diversion is not safe.
Yeah, for you as an artist.
For you as an artist, because a concert, trust me, is stressful.
Yes.
A concert, you have to do rehearsals. You have to
promote.
When you organizing it yourself, you have to promote it. You have to go to sponsors yourself.
Yeah.
You understand? Where are you going to get the time to give us a concrete concert?
For me, I beg to differ. It's two-way. For an artist, now like in the recent past, we've had artists who are not as much a big cake in the moment have concerts. For me, I believe for those, it's okay for you to let a promoter handle your concert. I believe if you know you're a hot cake in the moment, I want you guys to remember the time when Nuaj had her concert. Like there was an entire kind of, everyone felt like it was long overdue.
Yeah.
So if you're an artist at that particular level, I would ask you get a team that is very organized. They help you when you're at the helm of it. Because when you have a successful concert and you were bought by a promoter, chances are high you were paid peanuts. Bakola nnyo okusinga. So if you're just imagine if Nwaji had organized the concert. Say she wasn't part of Swan's.
You wouldn't be sure if it would sell out.
Exactly, that's why I brought in the aspect of get a technical team. You see, ideally there are things that happen in the industry today. I had a conversation with Bushington around, I'll give you an example of putting together a band to play for you at a concert. You know what people do today? A person will go to Jans and Jans will give them a rate card that is way high. So what does a person like Bush, if you give him to help you with your concert, do? Ye kyakola ng'agenda mu Jans ng'aneetaaga yani yofuka friend the Kagari is called Michi tinetagayo Michi ngafuna Michi ng'agenda mu wani ngafunayo ng'abagatta kati ng'akola gundi yiye nga ka price, you get. So the same I'm saying with organizing the team ej'okukolera so that you put the pressure off yourself. Gamba nti ngenze mu Phenon ngenda kola nani, of course off like the arrangement ajja kuwa magezi akugaidi ogambe okoyo mufunye aina technical itajajja okunkolerako ogambe nti mu mediani mfune Isaac ogambe nti stage you know you put together a team professional people abajja okukolera ekintu put the man on table, let them do the job. I believe obojja kola sentezo.
It depends on which people you're getting, because if you want a good show, let me talk about the band, like you've said. If you want to logata people, if you want a good show, you're going to get good people.
Yes.
You know? Now, ojagendo gambe, Jaja Hakim, akube, congrats. Ogende Aloysius Miganda kubire electric.
Chaza kubire wa.
Lawrence Matova jakube bass. Ojo kube ofune maybe Happy Chaze over Joseph Sax kubire saxophone.
You still need a music director.
You still need a person who's going to direct those people.
Yes.
And one of the people who understands the names I've mentioned the best
Could be Michael.
Oma.
Nga nayo mudita.
But all those guys are expensive.
No, Michael Oma. Ojamuleta tajja soko okuleta ja kudraginga drago.
And they're expensive. So
You're safe.
Kumaiko umayeta so atamba.
Omuntu n'akuwa sente zo oba miliyoni 10
Yes.
gwe n'otuula n'olinda lunaku lwakyo n'ojja n'oyimba oba loosi oba siroosi gwe tebikwatako okitegeera.
Nkola ya Irene Naswa.
But now we have unprofessional promoters who will drag you into their mess. After Sabatas show, we had the man crying.
Yes. Lwakuba obuzibu bwenkirabamu n'ekyo these artists are not real. Okitegeera nti abayimbi bano omuntu ayinza okulaba bayinza
You can't. Let me finish my point. Mutuse, you've agreed. No, you've agreed. You've signed a contract. Nti nkwadde sente zino for your show. Omuyimbi kasitala banga sheri successful. Trust me. Agenda kujja akabira mu media. Okitegeera. Because because ajja kumanya ayina favor yaki y'abawagizi. Akabe. Kati gwe promoter
yakoze bamubye.
Tebakumanyi. You see, your name is stated. Ayina kyakola.
Era kyokola mu kasitavayo ng'omwongerayo. Abeera akozesa.
That's the problem we have in the industry, that these two parties, the promoter and the artist, will meet probably at a bar and discuss business. Tewali paperwork yenna, tewali any binding agreement between them. Okay, neyo manyi kankweya atano toyita.
Mpita.
Suliramu 10. Okitegeera. Then after the show, artist alaba wakoze sente nyingi nnyo compared to what you gave him agana ended. Agenda mu media.
Sibi ebyaliwo ku wizo neno
exactly. But and before we knew it, they were throwing punches. But if we have a binding contract, which is where this industry should be at this point, at least by now we should be there.
Bebesi wa machine.
70% of our industries.
No, I got a contract because I think songs abayimbi aba bachikola.
Naye tulekerawo sanze embozi ezimu tuloke tugijjire embozi ezimu because they are
it's a one-off kind
of and there are not so many like that.
But in new
business like Swan.
Industry eri much in ndiawo.
Siros and industry much in the waliwo industry.
Much in there. Tell anti Uganda lina industry. Well guys, as we wrap it up, mbadde njagala tumalirize ku some of the shows. All artists abavuddeyo gamba nti later this year bagenda kubeera ne concerts era ziri luddawa. What do we think of them? Advice gye tusobola obbawa.
Is a good job. Bebe Cool, yeah, go for last January.
May.
Bebe Cool. Abila na yo around his birthday.
But last year he said it. But
his birthday is first May.
He hasn't come out to confirm with the date and the venue.
So
your concert, yes. I think agenda goberera.
But chemanye izo butabeera mu May.
The album is going to be in April.
What I know is towards it's before the campaigns.
Leka nkubuye ku Bebe Cool gwe tumanyi. Eyo concert erina okubeerawo before campaigns.
And egenda kubeera kololo.
Wajjukira nti Bebe Cool we tumayira campaigns owe tuyingira campaigns. Uganda emukyawa so tusiira concert kubeera.
Ye Bebe Cool yawe akugamba nti ye audience ye tebiripo.
Ate ekira akugamba.
So Sophie Nantongo has a concert also at Serena
in June.
Nalabye ne Chosen Blood awanise. Chosen Blood yawanise 1st August Kampala Serena.
So koleke ani yasazaamu ekivu teyali chosen blood
yali David Lutalo last year
David
yali
Lutalo.
ngamba ku Valentines
gundi yasazaamu.
Grenade yasazaamu. Ekyo tekijja kudda. Chosen Beck tanaba ketya agondi Artbeat ayagala mutereka leta this year.
Ola grenade ngeja yambala muna jana ngatambala
Gundi
kijja musa
naye lwakwaka chosen blood
Nathan asokali ndemu.
ne Munji naye yayegera.
Munji ajje.
After the excitement.
Munji ajje.
naye mungi confirmed oba
Munji ajje.
He said he's thinking about it and he's going to have it.
Station ajja kukola.
chosen blood lwaki mumupika
Tewali yamupise naye yawanise 1st August.
waliwo n'omuyimba omulala
aliwa chosen blood Serena
Serena 1st August.
agenda tonyiige
Band omulala yawanise Sophie Nantongo yawanise Sophie Nantongo yawanise
even in a Rose yesterday at the Nope Women's Day wow, they had a celebration
another concert etanabeera confirmed bulungi naye ngeri mu pipeline later this year if all goes well must be September is Irene Ntale.
N'ekirala concert tebannaba gyogerako naye nga nze amusosio egenda kuba yabyuze Kamembe ng'avudde US ate ko tuyiwa mu
no but Irene has also confirmed not that date but she has confirmed that
Irene
Kenneth ayina concert mu September
yes in September yes it's at Serena
but some of these ones have already some of the names we have mentioned have already
one of the concerts I don't know if you guys
Maru also has a concert.
Maro has a concert.
I don't know if you guys how far your interest goes in law. Guys,
Design Hub is a very good Morris yalina ko concert to Design Hub.
Twakavira dada
the kind of place you would actually find
audience ya Morris you're so good.
not actually Morris it was an album listening
Mwajira atusulamu album listening.
oba Mara agende Beniganta we yali
ewa
meters ntini nnyo okuva we tuli wano navyo we yakoleranga ennyedda oba the history of that place is not the best.
Munji I think Munji ayinza bata kyako isalo
Munji ajje wamu kupambala Serena yakola. I don't know where your interest is you guys are in.
Mimbi yandize nawe kuba wane ekivulu watini
I don't know how far your interest goes in local music but I think one of those concerts is zibadde you know zenda zibadde zirudde obeerawo is a concert for Chosen Beck. I think she's been big. I don't know how far you go in terms of that kind of music or what that local kind of audience, but I believe Chosen Beck and Okabadde nayo over the past years kwali a training ine endongo yetambula. Omuntu nga Artbeat wa mukwatamu namuteeka somewhere mu kifo ekimudyamu.
I think she's easy to promote.
I also think she's easy to promote.
N'endongo weeri.
Tali mu
Artbeat
party.
Yakuka TikTok.
No, you see, you need to understand.
Music wali.
You need to understand. There are certain artists. Who work with particular.
Rema.
No, yakola last year.
Artbeat eyekitanda
nekezo naye alinga alina show
takikola
Not now.
somewhere that he has a show
takikola
Kunyigira abantu bangi atanyiga
atanyiga mangu akaaba
atulekera
takikola
Kiki obadde obuuza sebo?
Kyembadde mbuuza kyembadde ngamba kibadde nti ba artists bano ba promoter balina niche y'aba artists ambe basobola okukola nabo. I would think a person like Artbeat would do well ku muntu nga Chosen Beck because that kind of audience.
Hey, let's be fair, forget they are a Afrigo band.
A Afrigo band.
Oh, they have
it.
yeah, they are celebrating 50 years.
Yes,
August
this year.
August.
Yeah.
Maybe nga tuvudde ku bivulu ebyabayimbi. I want us to
Even
also
that before ne waliwo natural rumors Eagles production.
Even Anne has a show.
Eagles reunion will be the best concert. However,
next year.
Next year.
Ah.
I want us to also look at some of the other events.
Gundi yagenda oteeka Afrigo.
Alibai.
Agenda bassa wali eri ku garden. Ewali ekikko tubeere nga tubalabira waggulu tetubalaba.
A far better experience is expected this year. Yeah.
Andrew has hesitations on that.
Of course, he's not invited, but other events that are to happen this year. Isaac, kino kigenda was we wrap it up very fast. Gundi mugikomyawo dye yali kuja Artbeat, Roast and Rhyme.
Roast and Rhyme. Should I?
Kwawandika press release atekati. Okay, other events.
Roast and Rhyme is happening on May 1st. If I'm not mistaken. Again, akubera ku Hockey Grounds.
Hockey Grounds, Erugogo. Roast and Rhyme may be an edition zingasatu.
It's right? Because after the cancellation of the other show at the Artbeat, the Artbeat has issues now. They were taking care of it. So they tried looking for a venue. Cricket Oval in a liberty of having one show a month. Only one show a month.
I think
Hockey Grounds. Kati venues and they even thought about Dungu nayo.
Dungu Resort. Actually, I think that would be the best.
Because to cut you short, with the concept of Roast and Rhyme.
Okay, Katiwabera editions and one edition ya Roast and
Back to
Rhyme.
our conversation we had in the first episode of this show. We have a problem with venues.
Yeah, we do.
Kati Roast and Rhyme bane editions and so zijja kujja later in the year.
Yes, Ginger yinza okubaayo.
No, Ezaja has paid Wadenga bid. Then Ginger.
Bakolemu outside Kampala.
Okay.
Kati tugenda bane ekivulu kye Kampala, then Roast and Rhyme ye Ginger, then ekivulu kye Kampala.
Maybe ekivulu ekyokubiri ekya Roast and Rhyme gya Artbeat jakubeeterezeza.
Andrew, blankets and wine. Yayinamu issues out last year nirangirira. How was that resolved and how is this year? How?
No, if you remember, blankets yasembayo kubeerayo I think 2023 ne basooka ne bagalamuko then ne bakomawo
with new
with new management, but with the older like original style of Artbeat. Yeah, but I've not really seen them this year announced yet.
They haven't announced yet.
They've not announced yet. Nasembayo okwogera ne gwe bawa rights yali tabyogerako, yali ali ku kivulu kirala nnyo kyagenda.
But the previous edition, when they had just returned,
it had Joshua Baraka, it had Blue
pass, they even had a pass.
Yes, Kyasembayo.
Yes, Kyasembayo, and it was
kyaliko ne conscience.
Togera kwa event kwani wala omuntu gwe nakyawula kwa
Emboze erina kuggwanga eyo kya guys. I ask you to keep it right here until next Thursday. Just tune in next Thursday 6 p.m. we shall be back here to digest more art and entertainment stories with yet another topic.